Hey girlfriends, welcome back to my channel. It's Jazz and I'm back with another video for you. So I'm hoping that this video is not going to be ridiculously long. I am going to break this up into two parts. And just a disclaimer, I will be showing images that if you are sensitive to any medical type of images of any kind, just a disclaimer there. I've never done a video like this before, so I've never really had to, so I'm not even sure if they're gonna ban me for this video. I have no idea, but there will be some medical photos in this video. So I did say a long time ago that I was gonna do my baby story, and it's like, I'm always like, oh, I gotta do my baby story. Oh, I gotta have my notes right. Oh, I have to have it all outlined so I don't leave anything out. So I'm just gonna do this. I have written a few things down just to guide me so I don't get to rambling, because when I do start talking about things that I am a little passionate about, I can get a little long-winded. So I'm gonna break this up into two parts. Long story short, I had fibroids, I had a myomectomy. 2 months after my myomectomy, I was pregnant and I had a C-section. So a myomectomy and a C-section all in 1 year. So yeah, it's a lot. So I'm going to break it up into two parts. I'm going to first talk about the fibroids, and then the second part will be about how I had to deal with my pregnancy after having a myomectomy. So this is for anyone who is suffering in silence through fibroids like I did. I'm just sharing my story. I said this year I want to be a lot more transparent with you guys and let you know what's going on in my world as I am sharing videos with you, not just about hair and makeup. So I'm going to start here with this photo of me in 2013. I was 29 at the time. Don't be clocking my age either, but here we go. I was 29 in this photo, 2013. This is pretty much normal size for me. I was, my ideal weight was like 135 at the time. So fast forward to 2014, I feel like I was putting on, more weight, but I wasn't really active in working out. I ran track in high school and college, but, as my 20s went on, hanging out, living life, the pounds add on, but at 135, I was fine. So, I didn't really think like, oh, you better. But, I love to pack on some food. So I think in my mind, a combination of hanging out, drinking, not healthy diet, I started to put on some extra weight. Now, a backstory, I was on birth control from the age of 18 up until 2014. Consistent birth control. Every year, you had to go in. That's back when you were getting your pap smears yearly in order to, if you were getting birth control, then you were in there every year to get your pap so that you can continue getting your birth control prescription. At least that's how I was doing it. So this particular year, 2014, I went in for my annual pap smear to renew my prescription. And the year before, no problem. So in 2014, I went in and she's like, you don't feel that? I'm like, no. Now, mind you, I said I was starting to put on a little extra weight. So I'm just thinking like, oh, you need to start working out. Like, you cannot let yourself go down this road. So I started, workout routine. Like, I was even starting to track my progress, taking photos. And I think even my boyfriend at the time was like, you have the whole rest of your life to gain weight. Like, let's not do this now. And I'm like, you're right. Like, so not thinking, it's just like you never know what's going on. So 2014, I went in for my annual checkup to get my renewal on the birth control. And she's like, you don't feel that on your stomach? And I'm like, no, I don't feel that. Like, what are you talking about? So she sent me upstairs for an ultrasound. And I'm like, wait a minute. I'm like, I'm on my lunch break. Like, I need to get back to work. I didn't sign up for an ultrasound. So went for an ultrasound, and basically she told me I had fibroids. So once, the images and everything came back, and I'm just like, fibroids. Like, I knew what they were, like my mother had them, but I never knew what causes them, where they come from, what do you do? As I'm sitting there being told I have fibroids, so she basically told me that my iron levels were too low to operate, and that she was going to schedule me for a transfusion to get my iron levels up and then we would get ready for surgery. And I'm like, wait a minute here. Like, first you tell me I have fibroids and the only thing you come up with is surgery. I was like, okay. So in my mind, I'm saying, I'm getting out of here. But I'm just listening, taking in the information, and it was just like, it was just a lot to take in, not knowing that all of that was going on. And then a year previous, everything was fine. So I just started doing my own research, and then everything just started to make sense because my menstrual cycle has started to get super heavy in the previous years, like coming up to that point. And I just assumed because I was getting older, I wasn't having kids, I was in my childbearing years, extra hormones and all that stuff. So I just dealt with it, not thinking that there was really something going on. So I stopped taking birth control once I looked into fibroids being like an estrogen dominance in your body. So I kind of just wanted to tackle everything that I felt like was contributing to the fibroids without necessarily having surgery. So I did the iron transfusion, and I will say I felt a lot better. And I was just like, you never really know what's going on or what it's doing to your body until something was done about it. So I was just like, okay, so I just have to make some changes. So I did a lot of research on fibroids. I just eliminated a lot of things from my diet. I was already on a nice workout journey. So having extra weight on your body along with, just having a poor diet, it's just all extra estrogen, especially if you're a woman in your 30s. I think I had just turned 30 the following month after finding out about the fibroids. So I'm just like, great. I was like, I don't have kids. You're not going to slice open my uterus. So no, I'll figure it out. So, for the next few years, it was just a trial and error. Bad habits are really hard to break. I stopped eating eggs. I switched to almond milk. I did a lot of juicing. It was just a lot that I had to switch up, and I started noticing a difference in my weight. It was kind of like, with the working out and all of that, but I wasn't as consistent as I should have been. So it took a couple years to really get it on track, and I think around 2017, like I had moved to New York, there was a lot more walking, and I started to shed off a lot of the weight. And so I was really, really into the juicing while on my menstrual, and that was just like a breeze. Like, it really helped a lot because I didn't know that it wasn't normal to have that heavy, ridiculous period. So I would just try to get as much greens in my system as possible. I stopped with the dairy altogether. Any extra unnecessary cheese, like pizza was the hardest thing, but I'm not going to really go into so much detail about the diet and all that. If you want to hear more about that in another video, I just want to keep this as short as possible. So this is all in a span from 2014 when I was diagnosed to 2019. So I pretty much changed my diet, and I was just living with these fibroids. And it was just like, it's something that you just don't want to talk about. Like, I don't want to tell everyone like, oh, I have fibroids. To me at the time, which was so stupid, like I felt like, something was wrong with me. I don't want to tell my boyfriend or whoever at the time I was dealing with that I have fibroids. It's like, it's in my uterus, something wrong with you, or you're not gonna be able to have kids if you don't get rid of them. And it was just something that I kind of just dealt with internally on my own, as I'm getting older, and I just didn't want to have surgery. I just refused to give in. But it wasn't until at the end of 2018, going into 2019, I had done a grape fast. So I was just eating grapes, juicing grapes, and I had done a grape fast for a couple days. And I don't know if this was the reason or what happened, but I was still just having horrible periods. I kind of fell off on the juicing a little bit because of my work schedule. So I was on my cycle, and I usually never have cramps. And this was just something out of this world, that I was just in the worst pain, excruciating pain, and it felt like labor. And so when it was all over with, like a blood clot the size of who knows, like it was huge, came out. And I'm just like, what is it? I didn't know if it was like a piece of a fibroid or what, but I'm just like, this is it. I've had enough. I've had enough. Like, I'm checking out of this situation. So I just decided I was going to do it my way. If I am going to have surgery, I'm going to go speak with someone, get all the information. Like, there's so many people that I know, depending on the type of fibroid that they have, were able to get rid of them through their diet and juicing and all that, which is what I was trying to do. But obviously, where my fibroids were, it just wasn't happening. They were like in the muscle wall of my uterus. At least one of them was, which is called submucosis fibroid. It was in the muscle of my uterus. So it wasn't in the cavity, it was in the muscle walls. And then one was on top. So at the time in 2014, I was told I had 5 fibroids. So I'm just like, it's just too much. And I'm over it. Like, it had been 5 years of me just trying to deal every month with, oh my God, am I gonna wake up in a pool of a murder scene every month? And it's just like, I was over it. So I was in New York at the time, and I went and spoke with a lady. I was gonna have the surgery in New York. And I got all the information I needed. And so there's a lot of different types of surgery you can have when you have fibroids. I think one was called a laparoscopy, where they like use a machine and they go in like different holes in your stomach, and they kind of get rid of them that way. So for me, in my mind, the way I was thinking about it, I'm just like, I don't want you to use a robot on my uterus that's never carried a child. So I'm just like, I don't want you to tell me like, oh, we just had to take the whole thing. We had complications. Those are my thoughts. So I was like, okay, I want you to, a myomectomy is kind of just like a C-section, but it's just, cutting open your uterus just right where you would for a C-section and pulling them out. They pull them out of your body and they kind of cut them off. So my mother convinced me to have the surgery at home. So I was like, well, if all the insurance and everything works out, then I'll do it at home, because the recovery was probably a lot better there for me anyway, which it was. So was this January, February? So March 2019, I had a myomectomy, and there were 21 fibroids they took out. And I just couldn't believe it. She didn't realize that there were so many in there until she got in there. And when she told me there were 21, I was just like, wow, like, you thought you were gonna shrink 21 fibroids with your juice and your diet. That's what you thought you were gonna do. So I was just so relieved to have it over with. So then, just like with the C-section and recovery is, 6 weeks, I did that. And I was just relieved. It was over with. So, yes, I had the myomectomy in March 2019. May 24th, 2019, I got pregnant. And when I tell you it was the very first time since surgery, because it's like, after surgery, 6 weeks. Obviously, you can't do anything. So, May 24th. Hello, Jalen. And it was just like, how do you do this? So it wasn't like I was trying. It was just something that, that's just the way the world works. And I'm just like, wow, I took out the fibroids and I cleared a straight path uninterrupted to my uterus, I guess. So I'm saying that to say, if there is anyone who is suffering from fibroids and they're also having fertility issues, I just took that as a sign, like, well, maybe I never got, not that I was trying to get pregnant, but, you know, accidents happen. But I was like, it never was an issue. But I also was on birth control, the majority of it. But between 2014, 2019, I was not on birth control. And I never had any issues until the fibroids were gone. I was immediately told that I had to have a C-section because I had just had my uterus sliced open 2 months previous. And so then I was just kind of terrified. And I'm just like, what have I done? Like, have I caused myself more problems just because my uterus hasn't fully healed? And now I have a baby growing in there. So I'm going to save that for part 2 about how I had to deal with the pregnancy after a myomectomy, because I don't want this video to be 30 minutes. So if you would like to hear more about the diet and everything that I did about the fibroids, the supplements I took, and the juicing and all that, just like this video, comment, let me know if you want any details on that. Like, I'm more than willing to share. I've just never done it before. This is really the first time really coming on here and telling you guys about my, not insecurities, but, you know, I'm just really letting you guys in, and I appreciate everyone listening who has watched. And yes, so part 2 is going to be about the whole pregnancy after a myomectomy. So I'm going to end this one here, and hopefully YouTube doesn't take this down from the images I'm sharing with you guys. But thank you for listening. Let me know if you have any questions in the comments. I'm always here to answer, and I will get started on part 2. Thank you.